with the NSE 30 index having delivered a solid performance last year, rising 27%, equity market views are even more optimistic into this year. And I came across a report by Stanbic IBTC suggesting 39% returns in 2011. Are you as bullish looking at the kind of pullbacks we see on a day-to-day basis here?
I'm very bullish, if not even more than what they are actually predicting. And I think they are just being conservative with the prediction, knowing fully well that this is a market that is going through, is in a part of recovery. And so we expect this recovery part to continue. And with the bank, it has almost contained about up to 30-something% of the index this year. Also, we expect a little bit of a recovery from the banking sector. And they are the ones that actually drive the market. And going forward, you realize that most of these earnings from these companies that will be coming out from this month will definitely give us a clearer picture where the market will head to by the end of this year. Well,
there certainly seems to be this unanimous bullish sentiment on the fast-moving consumer goods sector in particular. And we've got more often than not flour mills emerging as a stock pick in that arena. What's your view on flour mills?
Yeah, good stock. Very liquid stock also. And again, you have to look at of recent flour mill just signed an agreement to have a modern sugar refinery also in Lagos here, and it's being funded by Stanbic IBTC, Standard Bank South Africa, and Zenith Bank. So you expect returns from all these companies that they are forming with all this factory, and you say that's going to boost their bottom line towards the end. And you know, this is this is a company that have been consistent in the payment of dividend to its shareholders, and always at this moment now is earning per share is almost 5 naira.
One of the biggest risks to that counter, though, is the price of wheat, which has been very volatile over the recent past and hard to predict what that's actually going to do. How much of a risk factor are you taking that in as?
Well, when you look at the consumers of bread in Nigeria, you realize that a little bit of increase does not cause any issue to them. Mostly because most Nigerians too are not people that are fond of eating bread. You know, we have our own locally made bread here, the way they do it. So going forward, you realize that it might be an effect, but it will not be too obvious.
Let's take a look at competition then. We've got Dangote Flourmill, a strong growth story. It's significantly raised its capacity over the last decade in anticipation of strong demand for bread and flour. We've also seen some diversification come to the fore from its end. What kind of competitive force does Dangote's flour mills pose?
Well, Dangote Flourmill cannot pose too much threat to flour mill of Nigeria, because flour mill of Nigeria is a stock that has been there for a very long time. Dangote, you know, it just came in. Initially, they were doing interim dividend every quarter, but now they have now reduced it to year-end dividend. So, and in flour mill, if you look at the earnings per share of flour mill, is far higher than that of Dangote Sugar, and they don't have really large. Dangote Flour, they don't have really large outstanding unit of share compared to Dangote Flour. So when you look at all this, you realize that flour mill is well positioned to leverage on expansion and also bring more returns to shareholders. So shareholders are easily disposed to flour mill than to Dangote Flour at the moment.
Having said that, Muktar, what's been interesting noting trade over the past week, it's that it's fringe players that seem to be coming in as top gainers, as UTC tantalizes as well, bagging significant gains last week. Are you looking at fringe players right now, or just sticking to to the bigger players within this sector?
Well, for me, I'm looking for bigger players. I'm not actually playing with the strength players. But if you look at UAC, most people we are not surprised over what they're doing, knowing that this is also a company that is trying to diversify some of their companies to a South African company also in Nigeria. So maybe that's why investors are beginning to take position for a return in the near future.
On the opposite end of the continuum, we've got a player like Cadbury, some saying looking overvalued relative to the universe of Nigerian food and beverage producers. We're sitting on a 2012 earnings PE of 20 versus its the average of 15, and its share price largely being driven by M&A and robust earnings growth expectations. What's your view on Cadbury?
Exactly what you say. I finally think that Cadbury is overpriced at the moment. This is a company that is coming out of wood. You know, this is a company that have gone through some crisis, and they are still going. Even if you look at the earnings that they have been bringing into the floor, Nigerian stock exchange has not been as encouraging as it used to be. And going forward, you realize that it's going to take a lot of time. Maybe we're talking of something like 2 or 3 years before Cadbury will come out of the wood fully. And like you said, I think what they are leveraging on is what their parents' company is releasing. And people are beginning to position themselves, knowing fully well that at a point in time, it will boil down to the market. And you know, again, you know, Cadbury has a very large market outlet here in Nigeria. And their product is not for the crisis they have. I think Cadbury today would have been competing with the like of Nestle. And people are looking at it that there was a time also when Nestle also suffers the same fate that Cadbury is suffering before. But now, and at the point, Nestle now has gone up so high. So people are looking at all those factors and begin to say, why not take position in Cadbury? I think that's what is boosting the share price of Cadbury at the moment.
What are you making of its management structure at this stage of the game, where we know that Kraft's acquisition of Cadbury UK has come to the fore, but there's been lack of clarity in terms of management strategy?
Well, if you look at the management of Cadbury here in Nigeria, they have seasonings administrators and managers that have really come on board now. You have one of Nigeria's famous and fastest growing entrepreneur, Mrs. Blessing Awoshika. So it's on that board too, and this is an entrepreneur par excellence. So if you look at so many people that they are brought into the board, you realize that they are actually coming out of the wood. They are bringing up people we know, they can test their integrity, we can test you can look at their results for the past years and saying that if these people could produce this, and if they go into Cadbury and they are being given the type of freedom they want, then they will turn around the company.